Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yo, what up, what up? It's your boy Rubino.
And this DJ in the building.
And you listening to the UpNUp Podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
I don't know, just listen.
Yes. Welcome.
What it do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the UpNUp Podcast. I'm your host, Rubino.
And I'm DJ man.
DJ Erm.
I'm good.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Another trip.
Another one.
Where was you at?
Man, around the way.
Around the way?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to talk about it? Man, you've been traveling a lot, man.
Yeah.
I need to get like you. For those of you, thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you first-time listeners, this is the UpNUp Podcast. This is the podcast where we strive to cultivate the culture, right?
Yeah.
We're looking to find a way to connect amazing, compelling, inspiring, just powerful stories to our listeners and to our audience, right? And we always come up with amazing guests up here who just bring it. Now we always want to shout out the listeners. I also want to shout out Tonal. Shout out to Tonal and Karen and Josh and the whole team for they kind of gave us a little shout out. Yeah. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
That was pretty dope.
Piece.
Got a chance to touch on a lot of the UpNUp's upbringing. So that was dope. That was a dope experience, and I love to see that reciprocation of support, right?
Shout out Tonal, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, they had you looking good on the camera too, man. It's crazy what the camera could do, right? Photoshop and shit, right? Now, getting out the way, I do also want to say for those of you, who want to continue supporting, you know what to do. You can rate, subscribe, and review. Type in the UpNUp and like it too. That's Ernst thing. Type in the UpNUp Podcast. You can find all our episodes on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram at _TheUpNUp and stay tapped in. Now, getting that out the way, like I said, we always have an amazing guest. And every episode is its own unique journey, right? Mm-hmm. Because no story is like the other. And today's guest, I would say, you oftentimes see people and you kind of pay attention to them from a distance, right? And this brother right here is someone that I've definitely paid attention to from the distance. I would say he's a man who's committed to change and, more importantly, affecting change for the betterment of his people. From what I've been able to witness over the past few years, he's a true community member who's keeping everything he's doing on the up and up. Obviously, otherwise the brother would not be with us tonight. Mm-hmm. He's the founding director of Umoja Peace Center, chief strategist for the AfricaTown Seattle Community Development Initiative. How much time we got? The list goes on. You know what I'm saying? He's also co-organizer of Hack the CD. And these are a lot of things we're going to get into because I feel like, especially for our listenership and our audience, our generation, the millennials, this is a brother that they need to tap in with. This is someone they need to pay attention to and understand, how to continue to progress as a collective. And I would say, he's an extraordinary community leader who's working to engage with young people. Man, I'm going to just get to it. Our guest is none other than the change agent and culture cultivator himself, Wyking Garrett. Can we get a round of applause for my brother?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Peace, man. I'm good. It's blessing to be here, honor to be with the young brothers, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, y'all pushing it forward. That's appreciated. And if I could come and add on and share what we got going, and that's what's up.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is long overdue, honestly, man. I brought that up earlier, saying you pay attention to people from a distance, right? And a lot of times it takes reaching out and saying, hey, I want to have a more in-depth conversation so that I can invite you to my friends, right, and to other people that I think should meet this guy. Usually when we start off our show, though, I don't know if you're familiar with the show, we usually start off with the quote of the day, something to set the tone. I'm not really a man of quotes. This guy right here, on the other hand, is. What you got? The listeners want to be inspired, and what you got for them today?
Right, so the quote of the day today is, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members.
Coretta
Scott King.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last week it was an unknown quote.
Yeah.
Today's
This
Coretta
week
Scott.
came with it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So run it back one more time.
All right. So it's the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members.
Now,
From the Queen, huh?
that was dope.
The backbone.
Now we bring in those quotes. Obviously, they're great quotes. They're powerful quotes. But we also want to bring something that ties into your story, right? And then kind of what you're providing out here for the world and for our communities. And with AfricaTown, Umoja Peace Center, Hack the CD, and all these things that you got going on, we also want to talk about how you got to that point as well. And so, can you talk a little bit about where did you grow up, bro? Like where did it start for Wyking, and how did that upbringing kind of pave this path for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the district, from
Okay.
the CD.
Central District.
AfricaTown, as we say.
Yes, sir.
I'm third generation, so my family came here like many other black families, fleeing the post-slavery, sharecropping, plantation, KKK, what I'm saying, Southern situation coming north, basically as refugees,
Okay.
From the transatlantic slave trade that brought, a lot of African people to this hemisphere, and they came, around World War II. A lot of jobs in Seattle with Boeing, wartime economy, shipyards, and my family came from Alabama through Kansas, eventually to Seattle. My grandfather,
Okay.
And so I'm third generation. I'd say community builder. My father. So my grandfather, he was one of the co-founders of the Liberty Bank, with a lot of his colleagues at the time, and then, I just grew up with my father, Omari Tahir Garrett, who was always on the front lines of, really black liberation, struggle in Seattle. He was one of he led the take over the African American, the Coleman School at that time, to be an African American museum. So just at a young age, I was involved in like occupation and just seeing all that.
You were amongst a lot of leaders. It seemed like that's what it seemed like.
OJT is what my pops would call it, man. I was homeschooled and OJT, man, on the job training.
OJT,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Can't learn it in a book.
So the Liberty Bank. So you said your grandfather co-founded that, right? So that was a black-owned bank, right?
Yeah,
obviously.
that was the second black-owned bank west of the Mississippi.
Okay,
the
wow.
First and only in Washington State.
Wow.
Damn.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful because that's something I forgot who I was talking to one of my homies and we were literally talking about how that was something that hindered us economically as a people. Was we didn't even have our own banks, let alone being brought here, but we didn't even get that chance to kind of build. So that's big, man. That's big to know that you come from that. Definitely.
I mean, we all do.
We all do.
We
Yeah,
all come
definitely,
from, we standing on the shoulders of those who came before us, whether named or unnamed, We always got to know that we got to add on, I think, in a lot of ways, the way they reacted after the 60s and that real strong, energy towards liberation and getting our human rights, when they reacted with what they reacted with, ultimately that led up to just the crack and the Reaganomics and all of that, that really left a gap, and so our generation, the guys a little bit older than me and my generation really didn't get the torch passed or the ball passed in a real fluent way.
Gotcha.
So now we striving to, put pieces back together.
Gotcha.
But we always got to look back to go forward.
That's real. That's real.
That is. For
No,
real.
that's real. Definitely. Now, we do want to also kind of give the listeners a chance to kind of get a better idea and clarification in terms of like how would you, because you mentioned AfricaTown, as I mentioned it as well.
Yeah.
How would you describe AfricaTown for the person who never heard of it, and what is it, and what is its mission?
Well, the easiest way is to just say, well, what is Chinatown?
Okay. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think they get that. I get that.
That's the express bus. You know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so in a bigger picture, I mean, now we got the help of, you know, the Black Panther came out, so everybody was, you know,
Yes, sir.
amped up about,
Yes, sir.
Wakanda.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how we gonna build our Wakanda? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, AfricaTown. That's
Yeah,
what we've been moving on.
Yeah.
Or Black Wall Street, right? Like
Exactly.
that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Durham,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, sir.
Rosewood.
Yeah.
You know, many different. You know, so just continuing that tradition. When we think about AfricaTown, it's a way to encompass all of our greatness, you know, regardless of time or geography. You know, our history didn't start in the Central District, you know, just like, you know, most of the people, you know, migrated from the South. A lot
That's
of
real.
people from Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, you know, came here, you know, and eventually other places. But our history didn't start on plantations either, you know, in
That's
the
real.
South, right?
That's
so
real.
we had a history before that, you know. And then, you know, as going through that experience, we, you know, and we always travel. Meaning, when I'm saying we, I'm talking about Black people, you know, throughout the planet Earth, and left, you know, marks of our positive contributions to the world. And just through the slavery experience, you know, a lot of us were scattered throughout the Western Hemisphere, and we made lives, you know, in all of those places. So when we think about AfricaTown, it's about having a community or you know, space that the beauty, the brilliance, and the best of the Black experience in African diaspora can grow and flourish, you know, and enrich, you know, ourselves, you know, and as well as others. So, you know, just imagine that place that's inspired by, you know, whether it's hip hop or jazz or, you know, Black Wall Street or ancient Egypt, Kemet or Timbuktu or the Caribbean, you know, experience, you know, Marcus Garvey. My mother's from Grenada, you know, so that West Indian experience, you think about the Afro-Brazilian experience, the most Black people outside of Africa is in Brazil.
There's a lot of layers that people don't.
Layers.
Yeah, there's so many layers that people don't necessarily, not that they don't, it's not that they don't know. Well, it is that they don't know, but it's like they can't even fathom that there is this many layers, right? When we've been kind of conditioned to think that there's only Black, that's it, right?
But within that is everything.
Exactly,
you know
right.
what I'm saying? Everything comes
You
out
gotta
of
dig. You gotta
and
dig.
we just look at it like saying, like, you know, one jewel with many facets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I like
So
that.
That's one way to look at it. And
I like
just-
that.
Yeah, that's dope. So one of the things I remember hearing a lot when I was a kid was like, or just growing up, period, was the Moja Fest. Can you like explain what that is a little bit?
Yeah, the Moja Fest is an annual, you know, the largest and oldest, you know, Black celebration, festival, gathering, you know. It originated as the East Madison Mardi Gras back in the late 40s.
Okay.
It was also known under other names, you know, the Black Community Festival in its like 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And it's, you know, been a Moja Fest since like late 90s.
What caused for that name change, if you don't mind me asking?
A Moja, well, there was previous organizations that was involved, and you know, you know, whatever happened, you know, happened. But it was at a time when there wasn't going to be a Black community festival, and so when we got involved, we just took a Moja, means unity.
Okay.
You know,
For sure.
And creating, you know, just a Pan-African.
Yeah, it's a big deal out here, man.
Yeah, I remember like kind of growing up on that. I always hear about the Moja Fest. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's important, especially for the kids, for the youth.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have a festival. I mean, and something else about AfricaTown, just embrace, like now, you know, we have a lot of East African brothers and sisters that have come to Seattle, you know, and took a root and added, you know, their flavor and richness to the culture. So we embrace all of that. You know, we got each community can have its own celebration, Independence Day, you know, New Year's, you know, but we can also have that one time when we could all just
come
experience
together.
a little bit of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
That's the
dope,
idea.
man.
And I think that's the thing. I think a lot of times it's crazy because we need to show up for these type of things, man. Right? Sometimes just showing face is enough, right? To just to see, because if you look around and you see everybody, you know, it's powerful, man. And I also want to talk about, so going back to your upbringing, right? So you grew up in a time when it seemed like there was a lot of Black community leaders, would you say, or figureheads that existed, or have you seen a transition, or is it kind of they still exist? They're just not being exposed, or they're not given that platform.
Y'all are the leaders. I mean, you're creating a platform. You're talking to the people. So you know, things change over time. There was a lot more black people concentrated, you know, in terms of the community.
Okay.
And now it's more dispersed. So you're gonna have that, you know, just even political power is like spread out now, you know. But there's just a sister that got elected in SeaTac, I think, you know, a Muslim sister. It was a sister that got elected in like Renton, you know. And so it's spreading out, you know. I think we passed the time of like messianic type leadership, you know what I mean? Like we need Martin Luther King to come back. Yeah. Malcolm X, Huey P, you know. Nah, it's you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everybody got to do their part and take their sacrifice.
No, that's real.
I think that's a piece that, you know, we just got to embrace. And now with technology, you know,
it makes it easier.
It's more accessible.
Y'all got a media platform. 20 years ago, it wasn't this easy to just get to the people.
You know, what were we talking about before this? So I had the pleasure of seeing Bobby Seale when he was in town this past weekend. And it was a legendary experience for me being, you know, I'm 27 years old. So like, you know, just reading, all you can do is read and see movies and documentaries of this man, but being able to hear him speak. And he said one thing to me that just blew my mind was, he said in 1968 in April, between 1968 April and November 1968, which is 7 months, in April, they only had 400 members across the West Coast. By November, which is 7 months later, they had 5,049 chapters across the country in the 60s, right? So it comes back to your point. Now we have these tools, you know, all of them, right? They didn't have all these tools.
They didn't have text message, none of that.
Yeah. So I'm always inspired, man, whether it's just hearing of how amazing magical moments have been made with less resources. Where does that fall on us as far as what are we not doing? Did we get lazy? Is that something you would say we got lazy?
You know, I think before, like I said, the torch wasn't passed in a certain way. You know, you have institutions, look at universities like the University of Washington. It exists and it perpetuates and continues and promotes certain ideals and principles and develops the next generation, right? And when you don't have those type of institutions that are functioning properly in your community, you're gonna have these types of gaps, and you're gonna have, you know, less stability and consistency, right? And so, I think there hasn't been education. You know, I mean, the new generation they stepped up, but they didn't step up necessarily with the wisdom of the past, right? So we're gonna hit the streets and march, you know. Well, they march, you know, Malcolm X said, if you keep marching, in 50 years you'll be marching. And it's 50 years later and folks is marching. And I'm not saying marching is not a tactic to be used, but it's not the end. You know, we got to be strategic, you know what I mean? Use all the tools. And that's happened. I mean, you look at Black Twitter and, you know, how hashtag could, you know, make a move, you know. But I think just the knowledge of what happened, both the good and the bad, you know, and so that's how you move things forward and have progress. I mean, that's why, you know, I got an iPhone, smartphone, not a brick, right?
Yeah, you
know
can.
what I mean?
You gotta
move forward,
you gotta
right?
adjust to what's going on.
Advance. So we gotta advance. So you guys are in a strong. I mean, I think, you know, you're in a strong position.
It's a gift and a curse, though. I think because the same tools that can empower you can also hinder you, right?
That's correct.
I feel like social media is one of those things where, you know, I could retweet this, I could post this, I could like that, comment on that. And I feel like I did something.
You was part of the revolution.
Right? I feel like I did something, you know?
Taking shots.
But what are you doing with your life? I'm down for the cause. Hold on, let me retweet this, right? It's like, and that can hinder us, right? Where at you know, back in the day, you either were in or you weren't in, right? You had to move your feet in a sense, right?
Remember, it was more that weren't in.
That's true.
Like, you know, everybody even that's down with, you know, Dr. King now or Malcolm X now, they weren't necessarily rocking with them back then, you know.
It was more of a risk, I feel like.
You know, so I would say, you know, embrace your power. That's the part that's not, people feel like these institutions, these people got so much power, but, I mean, when you look at what's happening with, you know, how technology just disrupts and just takes out giants. You know, people, I mean, where's Kodak? You know what I mean? Like, it's a wrap. Look what Amazon's doing it, you know. So, I mean, I think we just have to be innovative. And then, you know, step to the business, man. You know, like you said, you know, don't be so focused on only yourself. And I think that might be something that came through over time, as people become more individualistic and less, collective. It's like, what is this doing for me right now?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's real, bro. That's real.
But you wouldn't have it right now if it wasn't for the sacrifices of blood, sweat, tears,
And you got to know that. I think we need to know that, And I feel like it was crazy because I said that I was talking to another friend of mine, and we were talking about how with social media, now all generations have like a common thread. You feel me? Like, it's like there used to be a time where it was like, yeah, we got the technology, y'all don't understand it. But now it seems like everybody's using social media, so there's that common thread. Therefore, there's really no generational gaps. Therefore, sometimes I feel like the younger generation may not look up to the generation that came before us because we feel like we're all doing the same thing, right? Because we're using the same tools. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have you here because I know there's so much knowledge you have that you can teach us and our listeners and our viewers. So how can we get to a point where the younger generation is seeking out more of that from those that came before them? Like what are some ways? I mean, because we need to see that, I feel like.
I mean, there has to be forums. We have, community forums or gatherings or dinners. To bring people together to communicate. I think that's a big part of it. Just having that knowledge exchange, to just get the information from the past.
That's real.
And then, remix it for the future and for the now. Apply it how it's gonna work now.
Okay.
But because what they say, the game don't change only the players, right? So communication is communication, and you just might be using different platforms. But if you're getting an idea from one place to the other, it's nothing new. So, but if you don't have quality ideas, it really doesn't matter what platform you have.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And then for you,
and read. I mean, I know it's good to watch videos, but it don't. Reading is still fundamental, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to get
I feel
better.
like that's starting to become like a lost art. A lot of people don't. They rather just hop on YouTube and just watch something.
They falling victim to the fake news, man.
They say
sources.
They say the visual controls the perception. That's what I hear a lot. So, I mean that it is what it is. And I do want to get into kind of your story a little bit more in terms of where did this commitment come from? Like, we all want to see our people thrive and progress and do better. Some more than others, right? But for you, at what point in your life was it a defining moment to say, you know what, this is it, and this is what I'm committed to, this is what I'm putting my efforts towards, and this is my calling in a sense. Was there a moment for you that kind of sparked that?
No, I mean I was raised.
You raising it
on the front lines.
I got you.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't choose,
Yeah.
What they say.
It chose
it's
you.
It's not on me. It's in me, I really couldn't, escape it. And when I could make decisions for myself, I mean, the values, I think, are instilled. And it's just been a progression. I'm a father now. So
congratulations.
I think about how am I pushing it for my two sons, you know what I mean, and the next generation. Because whatever we don't handle, that leaves the next generation to handle it, and it makes it heavier on them. And, what they say, the life you save may be your own. So you could just focus on your own situation, and then, wow, your child gets caught up in a situation because the environment that you didn't help shape, or the world that you didn't help influence in a certain way comes in, gets on them, so it's in all of our best interests, man. I mean, you could put your head in the sand, but that don't stop what's happening out here. So either you like they say, you become a product of your environment, or a victim of circumstance, or you make your environment a product of you to the best of your ability, and you make things happen rather than just let everything happen to you. So that's the ethic that I was instilled with from home, and then the community that you know, that I was exposed to and affirmed and raised by, you know, kept it and took it forward.
Okay.
So I just, you know, chose. I mean, what else you do?
came up in it. Yeah, no. I mean, if it's all you know, I mean, I feel like that's a luxury too at the same time that, you know, a lot of people wish they may have been inspired early on. A lot of times.
I mean, I'm 41 now, right?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and the people that I looked up to took their sacrifice. You know, they get it. You know, I mean, Malcolm X was dead at 39. Fred Hampton's dead at 21. You know, Martin Luther King's dead at 39. You know, a lot of fathers dead at 41 in the physical. So all these people, you know, it's like that. I'm like figuring out, okay, keep going.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
And it just shows you, man, when you're committed, you know, I feel like age doesn't necessarily always equate your ability to get things done too, right? Like just because someone lived a long life doesn't mean they actually accomplished a lot, right?
True.
And so I always use Tupac. I always use Tupac as an example, just because 25 years old, he died at 25. But if you look at what he was able to do, you know what I'm saying? I'm 27. I'm like, damn, 25? You know, still a kid, right? So, but he's revered as, you know, who he is now.
Make it count.
Yeah, for sure. And so I do want to kind of pick your brain a little bit on the inner workings of Seattle and what's actually been happening here, because I think a lot of our listeners and viewers, although they want to see the city thrive, and they probably hear about gentrification, and you know, gentrification ain't nothing new. It's been happening and it happens everywhere, but we want to get some insight on exactly when that transition happened. Like, if you can kind of give us some insight in how it happened and maybe some ways we can prevent it or try to help remedy it, if there is any.
Well,
that's a loaded question, I know.
It's been happening, you know.
Yeah.
The first displacement primarily was of black people was from Africa to U.S. and most of the significant decisions in this country have been in relationship to black people and like controlling them and limiting their ability to have economic enfranchisement, political power, you know. And so what I'm saying is, so when we came out of like shadow slavery legal, then they made vagrancy laws, right? They put, you know, to say, oh, we just fired you from working for free.
Yeah.
You're unemployed. You're loitering. Now we're gonna put you in jail,
exactly,
right? And make you a slave again, right? And
loopholes,
and just keep going, right? Jim Crow, you know, unequal, you know, schools, limited access to economics, redlining, divestment, meaning not putting money in to develop the community, redlining, which prevented capital for businesses, home ownership, home improvement, drugs, you know, crack, which then followed by, you know, mass incarceration, and, you know, the Bill Clinton era, 3 strikes and mandatory minimums, and then predatory lending. So it's been an ongoing thing, you know, when the cities, you know, white people left the cities and black people were right in the core of the urban environment. And they made suburbs for whites and made it, you know, pretty much illegal or prohibitive for black people to live there and have homes and whatnot. And then at a certain point, they're like, oh, we don't want to commute all this time. You know, we want to be back in the city. So now they're figuring out how to get the cities back. And so that's been a plan. You know, that's what they call urban planning, right? And if you don't have a plan that's equal or greater, then you're going to be a victim of somebody else's plan. And there's another saying in the Bible, where there's no vision, the people perish. So gentrification has been in play for a long time. People are now seeing the fruits of a plan and work that's been happening for a while, right? And what can we do? Well, we can lay claim to the legacies and demand, you know, justice and reparation for the injustice, the disenfranchisement, the damages that have been caused by both public policies, and private practices, because you have like the government doing one thing and like the banking industry doing another thing, and people can hold their land, not sell, right?
Yeah.
Like not sell the land. And we formed AfricaTown Community Land Trust, so that is a entity, a vehicle for us to be able to own land for our community with the purpose of keeping our community present and able to grow and thrive. And so the Liberty Bank Building Project is one of the projects that we're involved in. And we're striving to buy up as much land as possible and get our community to don't sell. If you have to sell, talk to us first. And we can, have a solution that you can get out, and we can still have a mission, a way forward that allows the community to stay here. So, Seattle, if Seattle's growing, then our community should be growing.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
I mean,
and
that
that
just makes sense, right?
That's we had Nikita Oliver on the show as well, and she talked about that land trust and that collective land trust and getting people involved.
Yeah. So learn about that.
Yeah.
So what can we do? We can study.
Okay.
First, you can find out about any, development that's happening, and actually citizens and community members do have a voice in what happens in the communities. But a lot of times, if you don't know what's happening, you don't know the language, you don't know how to challenge certain things, then it just goes by you. So we've been able to check certain like developments and make them to accommodate our community and things of that nature. And so with more people, and then that's listeners,
for sure. And that's it's important because the reason I want to talk about that is because the black community, black brown community in Seattle, they're it's very fragmented, right? You got people who live all the way up south, people who live up north, you know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing is if they're not there in the midst of it happening, they don't feel like they have an attachment to it, even though they feel it, they know it's a bad thing, they know it's wrong. So for those people, right? So for the guy who lives out in Mountain Lake Terrace and the guy who lives all the way in Federal Way, who cares about what's going on in the CD, what are some things I guess they can do? I mean, how do we get them to kind of get closer to the issue? That's
a good point. And I'm going to speak to that in a couple ways. For one, we got the Chinatown International District, right?
Yeah.
Down there you got Chinatown, Japantown, Little Saigon. The Pan-Asian community doesn't really live there. There's not like family housing down there, you know what I'm saying? There's basically like some mostly senior housing, and now they got like some condos, young professionals and things like that. But it's still like the economic and cultural hub of their community, right? So even if you don't live in the CD no more, or maybe you never lived there, you know, that still can be that's still the heart. Yeah. That's still where it all started. That's still the root.
For sure.
You gotta embrace your root.
Exactly.
How people can get involved is just plug in. I mean, you can follow on Facebook, Instagram, AfricaTown, SEA.
Yeah.
And I mean, just think about it. When people get ready to deal with their social activities, go out, pop it or whatever, everybody goes downtown pretty much. I mean, they usually go to Capitol Hill and basically, Belltown, Pioneer Square, even though you don't live there per se.
For sure.
So again, where's that place when if someone comes from out of town, it's like, oh, I want to go experience, the black or some restaurant. You got to have that that hub, right?
Exactly.
And so everyone can be a part of making that happen. And also that's the city, being able to interact and mix with people, different people your age, and you doing this, you doing that. You guys got the podcast going. You got other creatives, entrepreneurs. You mentioned, Karen with Tonal, and if everyone's too spread out, you don't have that collaboration and connection. So
that's real. Real.
We do have a line, I mean, for people to really get involved. And I wanted to speak about, you talked about people outside of the CD.
Yes.
We just on November 1st, the Liberty Bank building, which is a affordable housing development.
Okay.
In the heart of the CD, on the same site where the Liberty Bank was at. And that's was established to honor the legacy and continue the legacy, because it was all about economic empowerment, access to mobility,
Okay.
you know, economically. And that's still an issue, right? So
Yeah.
businesses are being pushed out. So we got commercial space to keep black businesses in the city.
Nice.
And we got, there's 115 affordable units.
Yeah.
That's not a lot, but it's something though, right?
Yeah.
When the lines opened up on November 1st, thousands of calls came in.
Wow.
It shut down the lines.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Which says that people do want to be
For sure.
in a community.
Yeah.
They want to come home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If they never lived there, they want to get there. And
Yeah.
if they're there, they want to stay there, right?
Yeah.
And the cost of housing is what's preventing that right now. People are living, in Kent, renting. I mean, even further out.
Yeah.
And still commuting back, to
Yeah.
the city to work and to interact and go to church and different things like that. So that right there just said that, we need 10 more of these buildings.
Yeah.
And to get to that point, that's where we need folks to get
Yeah.
involved. And so that's where the politics come in. You spoke about
Yeah.
Nikita. That's where that, we have to challenge, and put our issues on the table, and put our interests at the table, right? So and that's where you come offline sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
actually show up and speak somewhere, and make
Yeah.
your presence, your voice,
Yeah.
and your presence felt,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I think, and that's something I mean, I'm not perfect, I feel like we all can do a better job, myself included. But I feel like this generation just needs, even though they want to help, you got to like drag their ass to go help, It's like, and when they get there, then they'll actually show up and try to do some shit, I guess, I don't know, maybe trying to find easier access ways for them to not feel like they have to go out of their way.
Yeah.
Even though they should, but just make them seem like they're not going out of their way. I don't know.
You got to meet
like,
the people where they're at.
Yeah.
You got to be creative. You
Things
got to
are-
be in tune. And that's where you guys, like we're here. I
Yeah.
could be like, read the facts,
yeah,
but we like, nah.
Yeah.
We're going to tune into the UpNUp.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
for
Put
sure.
the information there, right?
for sure.
And so,
for sure.
yes, finger point is not solution oriented. We got to be, we have to be,
Exactly.
solutionary. So be creative and let them, you say, you got answers I don't have.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You got answers I don't have. So
That's real.
you're like, yo, this is how we want to do things.
Yeah.
But we can still get to the same outcome.
Okay.
I
Man,
feel you.
it's powerful. This is
It
powerful, man. This is much needed conversation too. Now, I remember me and him. We had the pleasure of attending BlackDot, one of BlackDot's events. This was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, man. So you do a lot for young entrepreneurs, right? And we have, trust me, there's tons of aspiring entrepreneurs, current entrepreneurs who listen to this show and watch this show. What are some ways they can connect? You guys have an actual physical location, right?
Yeah, BlackDot is a co-working space, incubator space, focused on, black entrepreneurs, creatives, technologists, to have a place to meet and exchange information, get mentorship, coaching,
Yeah.
access to resources. I mean, we actually connecting people with, capital, to start or move their venture forward, not just information, but information is important, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Relationships, connections, networking. I know you guys are entrepreneurs. I know you've been on your grind. I saw you guys, get involved with the hackathons and all that.
Yeah.
And that just pushes you forward, right?
Mhm.
Somebody knows you. They tell you about this, tell someone else about you.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to create that space because if we're going to have black businesses, we got to make sure they're on the next level, right? Like how are, the same business mindset or business development technology and strategies that, the person trying to build the next Amazon. Well, we know our community been hustling, been grinding, been making a way out of no way. So now if we
real.
give access to some of these other strategies, branding and marketing and technology that can advance things. Because if we don't, then we're gonna go away. What we see happening. So we wanted to both help the businesses that exist in the community,
Okay.
but also moving our community, our entrepreneurs more towards high growth opportunities, startup, and technology and media, what you guys are doing.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember when you came.
Yeah.
You guys had an idea. You was like, we trying to do this, and doing that, and you're doing it.
And it wasn't all the way formed
thing.
yet, but the thing was, we knew why we wanted to do it. I think that's the biggest thing.
And I think it was like going back to what you were saying about, we got to have that hub, So it was like us being there, we met a lot of other people that are just like, all right. And then that kind of made us assure ourselves like, okay, yep, we're doing the right thing too, So
right.
Yeah.
I think that's important, bro.
A lot of especially a lot of our guests early on our podcast when we first launched came from attending events like BlackDot or going to the hackathon. And I may not have even approached some of these people. I'm just taking mental notes like, yep, we're tapping in with you. Yeah. We're tapping in with you. I like what you do.
Yep.
I ain't gonna tell you yet. We're gonna tap in though, eventually.
So now imagine if they can, they're all living in the same building. They're in the Liberty Bank building.
Yeah.
And then there's a restaurant downstairs that's like, that's a nice spot to gather. There's a coffee shop that's culturally, what I'm saying?
Yes.
In tune.
Yes.
So now you have that synergy.
Yeah.
Spinning on itself all the time, and that's going to create new things. You know what I mean? And that's what we're striving to do. Really, with AfricaTown is make an innovation district, not just a historic. Oh yeah, Jimi Hendrix used to live here. Look at the plaque of Quincy Jones over here. Nah, it's like you go in this place and you see people creating just like they were creating back then, inspired by them. So taking it forward into the future.
No, that's real.
Yeah,
that's real. Nah, man, we need that, man, and that's another thing, man. I definitely applaud all the efforts you guys have been making, man, because you guys are paving the way for us, our generation, and what we need to do, right? There's so much more work that everybody can do, but I feel like our generation needs to step our shit up. This is me. This is just how I feel.
Yeah,
and my generation too.
Yeah, I mean everybody.
I'm being real, not like on just some like us too, but
I
mean like overall, my generation needs to put some points on it. I mean, we're still just riding off of basically our parents' generation, and that's all like going away. You see, they taking everything. Nah, you can't go to school for free. Nah, ain't no affirmative action. Oh, that's dead. You look at the new job market, it's less participation in the tech world than it was in the previous economy, right? That's
true.
Like Boeing and all of that. Like it's like 2%, 1% black, like 0.5% black males or something probably.
That's crazy.
I don't know. You know what I mean? So yeah, we gotta think, think forward and moving forward and come together. We got the brilliance, man.
We do.
We just gotta bring it together.
We do. And I don't want it to be like just this big ass dark cloud hovering over everything that's going on, right? Because within the fight, there is some positives, right?
I see opportunity.
Exactly.
I see great opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is changing no matter what. I mean, they trying to hold on and the Trump and they trying to but it's moving past that, man, no matter what. It's just sooner or later, you know what I mean? And they could have a little last hurrah and try to take people down with them, but a new world is emerging.
Yeah, we're resilient too. That's the biggest thing. That's one of our biggest attributes is our resilience and our fight, man. Like that's something like we would if you wanted to end us, trust me, you would have ended us a long time ago, and you didn't, and you can't, right? So that's I just think it's just a testament to who we are. Now, I mean I don't really know you as much as maybe someone else, but I do feel like you have a demeanor about you that's very, I'm gonna get the job done, right? When maybe that's not the case. So what would you say is the biggest misconception of Wyking? Like when someone walks up to you, what do you think they would be wrong about?
Man, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm curious because every time I see him, I'm like, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a
brother right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna still enjoy. You gotta enjoy it. You gotta enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah. At the same time, yeah. I mean, it don't feel no different than, probably how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just seeing opportunities to actually knowing what impact, because sometimes people like, man, it don't matter if I go or don't go, right? It don't matter if I say, who am I? I'm not, Bill Gates. I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
But really knowing that one person can make a difference.
That's real.
We're not gonna do it by ourselves.
That's real.
But we can make a difference. You know what I mean? Like like Pac said, you know, I might not change the world, but I'll inspire, you know, the mind. I'll spark the mind of the one that will. And we don't know who it's gonna be. You know, we don't know which one among us. So we just gotta keep staying in motion and staying. Just do what we can do with what we have. You know.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. So
I feel you.
So I probably didn't answer the question,
nah,
but you know what I'm saying? That was a good one. I'm gonna go meditate on that one, you know, for a minute, you know, and figure that out. What's the biggest misconception?
Yeah, well, I mean, from me, from having this conversation, you know, it seems like you do enjoy the process.
I got one. I like going to meetings. Nah, I don't. With these people, you know what I'm saying? That's lying and scheming all the time, you know? Yeah, nah. I'd rather be with the, you know, with the young brothers.
Yes, sir. You'd rather be on the UpNUp, right?
Yeah, I'd rather be on the UpNUp.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, yeah, obviously you've been a part of starting up a lot of stuff, you know, and the question I have for you was like, what steps can somebody else take that wants to start up like an org or, you know, some kind of movement?
Question.
That's a great question.
That's a great question. You know, it's think, speak, act, right?
Yeah.
Get the feedback and keep doing that over and over, you know. I say do your research. You know, get a clear idea in your mind of what you want to do. Take it from just being like a wishful thinking to like a determined idea. And then, you know, start at the end and work backwards. Like figure out where would you actually want to be, right? Then kind of you can look at someone that's been there or is there and look at the steps they took. And then you figure out how you go about taking those steps. So, what is it? Plan your work your plan. Get out your head. You know, tell people about what you're striving to do. Make yourself valuable to someone else that can add value to you, right? Because it's an exchange. Like, no one owes you anything. You got to put your work in first.
Tell them, bro.
Exactly.
Tell them, bro.
You want to eat.
Need to hear that.
You got to plant the
For real.
seed, water it, you know, till the land, and then you get a harvest, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, I know this is the instant generation, text, food, everything. But these are universal laws that don't change. Get mentors. Probably the way that you can accelerate your process the most is get you a team of mentors. You know, like have your own board of directors personally just for what you want to do. You know, and check in with them. And then just do it, man. One foot in front of the other, brick by brick, piece by piece. Don't think anything is really in vain as long as you're moving in that direction. Even when it looks like you're taking an L. You're learning. You know, there's no losses. It's just learning lessons, right? And in time, you know, so many people that I've seen along the way, where they are now, it's just because they kept pushing. And other people was just like, oh, I had that idea. Oh, I thought of that. You know what I mean? Ideas are a dime a dozen. But people that put them in activation and execute, that's where the real value is added.
There's a lot of
those are a few things, man. Put it down, write it down, research it, you know, and get out and be about it. Like go to events, you know, and learn from people that's doing it. I mean, you'd be surprised that people is willing to give you information when they see that you're serious, because nobody wants to waste their time. But if you're serious, they'll give you game.
Exactly.
So
I feel you.
You got a warranty.
Is that? And then it's like also think about do you really need to do this particular thing, or is someone else doing it that you could maybe link up with? Because sometimes I see that too. Like, you know, everybody's selling shea butter now, or you know what I'm saying? Everybody's selling jewelry. You know, everybody's trapped. You know. Kitchen, you know what I mean? Like, you know, selling plates out the trunk. Like we got to be a little bit diverse too, you know. When you come home, everybody wants to, you know, be a youth. You know, they just did their little thing and coming out the streets. Now they want to be the youth men. You know, like we need to, you know, do some research. You know, like look at options before you make an exact choice on something. Too.
I feel you. I think that's how you like really build. When it's like we got one person doing this, one person doing that, one person doing that, and then before you know it, it's like everybody's everywhere. You know. I mean, how would it be if you had 5 thumbs?
That's perfect. It's perfect. It's a perfect way to sum that up. Nah, I mean, that's real. And I think it just boils down to a lot of people have that theoretical ambition. That's how I look at it.
It's real.
Won't get you nowhere.
Be about it, man. Or
Won't get you nowhere.
No. And just know that. Just embrace it's nothing wrong with being nervous or having fear. Just keep pushing through it. That's the key thing, It's not to not have it. It's just you keep pushing through it, and know that anytime you get into, when it goes from that mental to the physical, it's gonna be resistance. Now you're dealing with gravity, you're dealing with, the laws of physics, man, that's trying to stop you, right? As soon as we born, we getting closer to the grave, but that shouldn't be a reason not to live.
That's real. Man, powerful message right there.
Gems,
That's
man.
real. That's real. Thank you, man. And you know what? I know you're busy. I know you're a busy brother, but I always ask this question for our guests, for every guest that comes up here, and have him answer it for us.
Before you do that,
What's up?
we gotta, let him shout out his Instagram handles and everything. Where can we find?
Yeah.
Most thing I want to do is answer your question of like, how could people get involved? How could they know?
Let's get to that.
How could they get access to this housing? How could they help create more projects? Make sure that we got a thriving black community in Seattle. And I would say one easy thing they could do to get plugged in, get connected, is text HOME, that's HOME, to 206-309-6234. So text HOME to 206-309-6234. And that's going to put you in the AfricaTown, Action Resource Network. So if we got a building open up next week, you'll find out about it first, right? And if we got to go show up, impress the city, the mayor, the governor,
it'll keep
Gates.
We just need to
whoever we got to press,
Line
them, man. Right? Line them up.
They need to feel that pressure, man. They need to. And you know what? I think this is good. This is good for people to, again, just keep them tapped in. Just keep them in the loop. A lot of times, like those people who don't live close to the situation, they're just not in the loop.
Man,
that's what it is.
A lot of people say that, social media, that ain't, but really a retweet or a repost can be significant contribution.
That is.
You know what I mean?
Social
Honestly, to spread the information.
Yeah.
Because it all starts with if someone don't know, they can't do nothing about it.
That's true. I don't have a problem saying I don't know something. Yeah. I used to, but now I'm like, hey, man, I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I do. Now there's no excuse, right?
So, AfricaTown SEA on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Okay.
And we'll make sure we'll plug all those handles and make sure people know.
Wakanda forever.
Yes.
Right.
throw it up.
But let's make it real. We don't gotta live in fantasy,
man. Africa's a real place, dog. Like, it's crazy, man. Ever since that movie came out, people are like, man, can you imagine going to Wakanda? I'm like, bruh, there's an entire continent.
Africa's the future, man.
Yes, sir.
And we got to get connected.
Exactly, man.
For real.
Damn, that's crazy. I was just going on a rant on my on my Instagram today about how much going back home.
You guys got it going right now. Ethiopian Eritrea.
Yeah, man.
Working it out, man.
Yes, sir.
That's
and
big.
we just had the sanctions lifted as well. So shout out.
That's big.
Shout out to that, man. Definitely, man. Africa's on the rise.
See, South End, we gonna get it together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. We got to, man.
For sure.
We got to.
For sure.
Yeah, man. So definitely want to leave you this question to kind of cast kind of what's ahead as well for everything that you got going on and the rest of the team. So if you can, my brother, what's one word to describe what keeps you on the up and up?
Knowledge.
And you can explain it as well.
Well, knowledge is a foundation, man. That's you build on knowledge. If you can't, if you don't know, you can't keep it. You can't move on it, right? Not intelligently, at least. So I'll say knowledge.
I think that's the first time we got knowledge.
I think
too.
that's the first time we got knowledge.
Yes, sir. That's a good one. Yeah. Nah, I mean, it sounds at face value, but when you really break it down, a lot of what we've even talked about today is a lot about a lack of knowledge. People just don't know. People don't have it, and they need to get it. So
we're in the information age. If your knowledge is at a deficit, forget about it.
That's real. Man, Wyking, bro, Appreciate you for coming to the show, man. This was
you creating a platform
yes, sir.
for the knowledge to be exchanged, right?
Sir,
That's the key, man.
That's what it's about, man. We out here.
Communication,
we
man,
slanging knowledge right now. That's what we doing. We pushing knowledge. But no, man, thank you for just, pulling up, and we wish you much success, the rest of the team as well, with everything you guys got going, all the projects that you're currently working on, as well as projects you guys I know we'll be working on down the line.
We want to look at UpNUp as part of the
yes,
flow
sir.
of information.
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir. We all on the UpNUp. It's a lifestyle, man. It's
the UpNUp.
Yes, sir, man. It's a way to live. It's the way to continue to go after your dreams, man. And also want to say, for those of you who are out the loop, make sure you text HOME at 206-309-6234. That's 206-309-6234. Text HOME. Stay in the loop. Stay in the loop with your community. Stay connected to the roots. And man, any final remarks?
You got it, man.
Yes, sir. Well, I think it's official to say Wyking Garrett and AfricaTown as a whole is members of the UpNUp. Can we get a round of applause?
We in there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Keep
My
it
brother.
going up.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right.